All right, continuing on with my catch up on foreign horror films on Netflix. And this one is a Filipino remake of a South Korean film that takes place in Taiwan. And half of the movie's in English. Did you get all of that? So, yeah. So, the movie that this is a remake of is Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, which is a South Korean film. This is a Filipino remake of that film, and they go to a Taiwanese uh, asylum, and this is about a group of people. If you have not seen Gonjiam, which is basically a ripoff of Grave Encounters, but you know how many movies have been set in an insane asylum with a group of people? Plenty, but I feel like that's the most popular found footage one that we have, and there is a lot of similarities. But essentially, you have a crew of people who are going to this place, and they're going to live stream their hangout there and their exploration. And they are trying to hit 3 million viewings, views, while they're live streaming. And if they can do that, then they will double their pay. And if it goes beyond that, even, they'll get even more money, right? So they have a lot of incentives to hang around. Okay, I skipped this one, and this is found footage, by the way. I did skip this one because someone I know, I'm not going to name who, but they were like really not into this at all. And I had so many movies at the time that I was like, I'll just put this on the back burner. I'll get to it later. This being later. Yeah, I liked this. This was good. This was like a totally adequate found footage. It had a budget for sure. It definitely has a decent amount of CG for some of the scares and for the effects and whatnot, but so did Grave Encounters, which people love Grave Encounters, but that like face distortion with the big mouth and all that, that's very CG. And for some reason people are totally fine accepting that. So it is odd what CG you will accept and what you won't. Obviously, like, it depends on how like good it looks or how good the movie is and how much you'd be willing to look past because of the quality of the film otherwise, whatever. So yeah, some things I was like, yeah, that looked pretty fake, and kind of takes you out of it since this is found footage after all, and that's all about realism. But yeah, I mean, one of my gripes, of course, and this is something I talk about a lot, is that nowadays everything has to be about influencers. And of course, if they're trying to be accurate, the type of influencers that make content like this are insanely insufferable, annoying clout chasers that just get on your last nerve. And so they're not super likable. They're very fake, but that's their characters, right? Like, that's not because the actors are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're presenting themselves the way they are, but it's still grating, right? It's still annoying, and especially since we live in a time where we are inundated with influencers constantly. So, a couple things that are funny here to note is, number one, you can spell Ken with a Q, I guess. One of the characters was Quen, and they kept being like, Ken, Ken. I was like, shouldn't that be like Quen? Whatever. But they kept saying it. And also, I don't own one, but I can only imagine that if you owned an Amazon Alexa, your house would be like lighten up every 2 seconds, because this movie, there's a girl in it named Alexa, and they're just, oh my god, they must scream her name 500 times. Nah, that's an exaggeration, but maybe not a big exaggeration. At least 100 times. So I was just laughing. I was thinking about that because my dad has an Alexa, and every time somebody says something like Alexa, and our phones respond to Siri, and anytime somebody says like seriously in my house, Siri can come on like half the time. So the Alexa thing in here was making me laugh. Um, yeah, I think that it's a pretty decent like found footage film with a good budget. If you know, is it better than Gonjiam? No, I think that's better. I think one of the places where this probably fails more is that you don't have as much like lore and world building, I guess, as far as like the hospital, the asylum, whatever they're at. I would have liked a little bit more backstory and a little bit more digging into and you know trying to uncover this and that about the place, right? Like the people who work there. There's some. I'm not gonna say there's none. There's this nurse and stuff. It's kind of there, but it's not like a big focus, and that's something I really like in Grave Encounters and other stuff, right? Like lore is one of my favorite aspects of found footage, usually. So that's one thing, and also I think that there just isn't enough like push from everyone. Like there's some for sure, but in Gonjiam, the original, there was very much like this air of people wanting to leave and constantly being like, "That's it, I'm out. I've seen enough. I'm gone." And people are like, "Look, we're at this many we're at this many views currently. This is how many people are watching." And this is a tactic that we've seen plenty, right? There's this is a pretty tropey thing to do in the live stream found footage, which is its own subgenre. A lot of live stream found footage nowadays. And one of the tropes is always like the focus on like you gotta push through. Look, we're at 1 million subscribers, and it like because they're such clout chasers, as I had said previously, they're such attention whores. No matter how scared they seem to get, that seems to be like to break them out of whatever fear they're in, whatever trance they're in. It just seems to like it's like smelling salts like brings them up out of whatever the hell they're in to be like you have this many people watching you right now, and they're like, oh yeah, I have what now, 1 million, really, 1 million. Oh, okay. Maybe, actually, you know what, never mind, I don't care what I just saw. 1 million people, I'm sticking around, right? Like that's something they love to do. And with this one, yeah, they keep putting the views up on the screen uh, when they show it, but I just feel like people aren't focusing on that aspect enough for why they would stay and push through this. And yeah, I mean the characters, as already stated, they're definitely frustrating. Also, another when I say frustrating, I mean like annoying. But I know that this is kind of like the Filipino language, and but this happens in a lot of foreign films, especially. Is it especially? I don't know. I feel like it's in every movie now, every foreign film I watch, but this one more so than maybe I've ever seen. This movie's like half English, right? But they're all speaking Filipino to one another, which is like I think that's like Filipino is like from what I've looked at. Please, if someone is from the Philippines, please correct me in my ignorance here. But from what I can tell, Filipino is kind of like a version of, I think it's pronounced Tagalog, or however you say it, and like English mashed together. Because it's odd. It's not like English words that are being inserted into a sentence. It's straight up one sentence is Filipino and one sentence is English. And it's throughout the whole film that's like this. There's like an interview they give, and one guy, the main guy, is just speaking straight in English, but the girl keeps asking the questions in Filipino. And then other people would be asked stuff, and half of their sentences would be English and the other half wouldn't be. And it was like that the whole movie, and it was kind of honestly a bit distracting because they put the subtitles up for either. And so like I was like looking down to read them, but it was the English and then it was not, and then it was the English and then it was not. So like when I kept looking down, it was like they started to say it in English and I'm like, okay, this isn't a line I need to read because I already know this, right? I know how to speak this language, so I can listen to that part. But it just kept going back and forth so much. Literally like every other line, and we're talking like people were talking fast. And so you just like look down to get, and then you'd be like, nope, I don't need to read that one. Oh, yep, I do need to read that one. And you kind of almost wait for the people to start speaking to be like, is this one I need to look down for or not? And it was a bit distracting. So, is this really how people speak in the Philippines? Do they really just say full sentences in English and then full sentences not? And then back and forth, and then full conversations are like in English, but they're also responding to each other in differently. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. But yeah, I mean, I see it in other films for sure, but not this much. This is ridiculous. Like other films is typically like a like one phrase or something is English, and then the rest is like in Spanish or whatever, French, whatever. But then there's these like full sentences that'll come out that'll be full English, and you're like, huh? Why is that? Why are they saying that in English? What? Is there not a translation that's in Filipino? Like, can they not say this in? I don't know. It's odd. So that was a bit of a distraction, I will admit. But yeah, I think that if you're a fan of like Grave Encounters, Gonjiam, Hana Asylum, I think that this is just another one of those types of films, and I think it was fine. I think that it had good setups for certain things. It's all pretty like tropey and seen it before, but it was fun. It was good. I gave it like a 3 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I'd probably never watch it again, but if you're a big found footage fan, I think this is a pretty decent one. Yeah, I don't know why people are down on it. Maybe because they're just comparing it to the movie that it's a remake of. It's better, sure, but that doesn't mean this one's garbage. This one's fine. I haven't seen Gonjiam in a while, so maybe it's like so much better that I'm like, this is trash in comparison. It should have never been made. But I don't remember loving that one either. But Grave Encounters is the best of these, for sure. Easy to me. So if you're going to watch anything, if you haven't seen any of these, Grave Encounters, 100%. I'll see you in the comments. This is on Netflix. Adios.